what made me decide to start the Fascinated by Shipwrecks podcast? Well, I've been passionate about ships and the sea since I was about 10 years old, growing up next to a marina. And that's where I fell in love with ships and sailors, fishermen, stories, and all that kind of thing. I have been involved in the marine industry going back to 2004. So I have met and worked with a number of people in the industry as a writer and as a business service provider. But my passion has always been maritime archaeology. By the time I figured that out, it was kind of too late to do that as a career. So this is a way for me to explore that passion and help others learn and enjoy about the many stories of shipwrecks and the people and the science in this exciting field. I've written on a number of topics for my over 200 marine-related articles. Most of them have been about the commercial shipping sector, which has been absolutely fascinating. And I've worked on articles from topics such as emissions, ports, container terminals, electrification, marine pilots, oil and gas, security, big data, propulsion, and the list goes on. Some of my favorite articles that I've written were about company anniversaries and executive profiles. So sort of looking at the people side of that world, which is something you don't normally see in marine trade publications. But I always try to put a little bit of that magic into some of those articles. So I really enjoy doing that kind of writing. So what do I find so interesting about maritime archaeology? I think it's the whole exploration aspect of it. It's like watching people who are doing digs in Egypt, going into the back of beyond in a jungle to try and find out who lived in the past, in ancient times. I mean, we've seen and heard of explorers for centuries who have gone off and done incredible things, like the sailors who tried to find the Northwest Passage and things like that. So this is my way of doing that kind of exploration. I get to do it from my desk, which is a little bit different, but I get to talk to the people who are doing that exploration underwater and the associated people who are doing all of that work relevant to shipwreck investigations, which is quite a lot, as I'm learning. There's a lot of endless hours behind the scenes that goes into the work that we may see in a compressed documentary on TV. I'm really excited to be delving into that whole aspect. The podcast won't be just about shipwrecks. It's also going to be about other areas of the marine industry because it's all connected in its own way. I will be talking to other people about things such as ship navigation, coastal communities, ocean conservation. Any of those kinds of topics will blend in nicely into this podcast. I hope to bring that world and the behind the scenes of people doing all kinds of work in the marine industry to the fore. So that's going to be another really exciting way to talk about this marine field in its entirety. I am very excited to announce that my first podcast guest will be Dr. James P. Delgado, who is one of the world's leading experts in the field of maritime archaeology. I've had the privilege of working with Jim over a number of years in different roles. It's going to be fascinating speaking with him because he is like a walking encyclopedia of everything in maritime archaeology. It's going to be great to start off speaking with him. And of course, we will be talking about Titanic. My hope in general is for people to just listen in, enjoy these stories, and hopefully learn something new that they didn't know about this field. My passion is about bringing forth the people and the science of maritime archaeology, not just the moments of discovery and all of that thrilling stuff. What's the day-to-day work like? What's the technology that they're using and how that's been advancing? What it's like to travel and be away from their families, and what it's like to really sit down and get their hands dirty and doing all of the things that are necessary in their jobs. So it's going to be quite varied and a lot of fun. I'm just really thrilled to be doing this, and I hope that everyone who listens will have fun too.
Beneath the ocean silence sways, Lost in time, the wreckage lies, broken masts and shattered pride. In the deep the answers hide.